This is the audience to my speech. Hi, I'm here to do my call to action speech, and I'm going to inform you on why GMOs, also known as genetic modified organisms, are good. I chose this topic because I have a background of this on my farm, and I'd like to show you the benefits and things like that to it. So the first main points that I'll get to is I'll let you know what genetic modified organism is, and then I'll also let you know what the benefits are to it and how this will affect the population growth in the future. So to start off, what is a GMO? The GMO is a genetic modified organism, like I said before, and they have had their genes altered so we can improve our productivity for yield and with genetic engineering techniques. Also with that, GMOs were first created in 1982, and later that year the FDA approved them, and the farmer has been using GMOs to improve their yields and to maximize the potential in the plant, and we have seen great progress with this throughout the years for doing just that, so that we can do our job by feeding the world. So now that we've talked about what a GMO is, now we'll get into the benefits of the GMO. So first off, GMOs are always being affected by weeds, diseases, and weather. So first of all, the type of weeds that we see in my area are definitely kochia weeds. Kochia weeds can be somewhere up to chest high if they reach their full height and everything and maturity. And if we can't get to them right away with spraying them and getting them out of our fields, they are super hard to kill. You got to kill them when they're small, or otherwise they will be, when rain comes down, they'll take away the nutrients from the rain that the plant should be receiving. And then next we get into diseases such as bugs and worms. They'll also get into the plant, which doesn't allow us to maximize the full, for corn for instance, it will eat away on the corn cob, and we will not get the maximum, we won't maximize all of the plant and everything like that. And next is weathering, such as like hailstorms and things like that, and wind. Sometimes the plant isn't strong enough to withstand things like that, and that's why we use GMOs to keep the plant strong, so they don't get green snap, which I will show in my next slide. So here's like kind of a quote that I found that says, "With the help of the genetic modified technology, it has helped reduce chemical pesticides by 37%. It has also increased crop yields by 22%, and it's increased the farmer's profits by 68%. So I think that's a win-win for everybody, because when you're going to a store and you're buying things as a consumer, just an overall consumer, it is affordable, and we have an abundant amount of the crop. Everyone can get a share of it, so everyone can afford to buy it, and so I think that's a win-win for everybody. So now that we have kind of talked about the benefits of having GMOs, we'll get on to our next topic. So actually we're back to the benefits of GMOs. Here on the left is a picture of corn in a field. This is what I was referring to as green snap. I don't know if you could see it, but it is corn that's been laid over, and the plant itself, as it was growing, has snapped down here because it wasn't strong enough to withstand the wind and the weathering. Here, right here, on top you can see that there's been a plant that is fully grown, and then there's also been a plant that has bugs in it and diseases have reached it. I also have a brochure right here that I can show you, and I don't know if you can see this, but right here, these are plants that don't have the treatments in them, and you can see how it's kind of gotten to the plant there, and that's what I mean by farmers not maximizing their yields. And over here, with the treatment and the herbicides put on it, we are getting the full corn on the cob and that's what we like to see. So up next, we usually have this question brought up quite often. Don't GMO crops use a lot of pesticides and other chemicals? Well, I researched this, and Dr. Noel McLaughlin, who is a director at the University of California, had this to say. With herbicide-tolerant plants, this allows farmers to practice no-till agriculture that to where we don't have to use a plow in the field, which causes carbon dioxide to be released. This also means that soil integrity is retained, so that organic matter is much healthier. There is less soil compaction because you're not driving over the land, and water usage is better because it is being retained in the soil. So what he means here is organic farmers, they are always plowing the field and everything like that, and they're trying to bring up what's underneath to the top of the soil, and in a way that's beneficial. And conventional farmers used to do this as well, but now we do what's called crop rotation. So one year we will plant wheat on that field, and one year we'll plant corn on that field, for instance. And so if we have the treatment in the crop when it's planted and when the seed's planted in the ground, we won't have to drive over it, and it'll keep the plant or more organic, and it'll keep the richness in the soil. And so we think that's very beneficial for us as conventional farmers now who use GMOs in their crops. So next, I will talk about population growth. So this is from the UN.org. By 2050, we are expected to have 9.7 billion people in this world, and then by 2100, we're expected to have 11.2 billion people. And I want to know how we're going to feed people if we don't have GMOs in our crops, because how are we going to maximize our yields to feed people on a shortage of having diseases and things like that if we were to go all organic? And as an organic farmer, you're in the field all the time, and usually most farmers have 80 acres in just one field. And as an organic farmer, you are going through the field about 20 times, making 20 passes, and you don't have enough employees to go around, and it's very costly with fuel and things like that. So if we already have that treatment inside that crop when it's planted, we can avoid that things like that to feed the population. And also, organic foods are expensive. When you go to the store and it says organic non-GMO, they're usually more expensive than just any ordinary food that you're buying or produce. And it isn't costly efficient, really, I think, for an organic farmer if we were all to be organic. And I always like to use this analogy. Us as humans, if we're going to live 75 years, we need medicine to keep us alive to live that long. But plants are very similar. They need the exact same thing. And that's why they need these treatments, so they can kind of have the upper hand on diseases and weeds and things like that. And so I think it's very beneficial to have GMOs in our crops. And I don't know if I persuaded you guys today, but I think this is something you guys could seriously think about. I've grown up on farms and have experienced these things firsthand. And I have a research farm that's 40 miles away from my house where I've seen these things take place, and I really think it's beneficial. So I would suggest think about this stuff, and I hope I persuaded you today. And thanks for watching my speech, and I look forward to watching all of your guys's. Thank you.